Pam Perry, veteran PR strategist, Emmy award-winning producer and publisher of Speakers Magazine, who will show you how to crack the code in getting out there to get known. Each week, she either interviews her media friends, PR colleagues, or she just goes solo, offering you strategies on publicity, publishing, and platform building. So, listen up to hear how to get booked on media places and on superstar stages. Now, here's your host, Pam Perry.
Hey, this is Pam Perry, and I am excited to have you all with us today because I have Valonda Calloway, who is going to be our guest today. She's an author of the book, Tips from the TV Lady, a guide for making a great impression on camera and in person. So just give you a backstory of how I met this young lady. I met her online, LinkedIn, and I looked at what she did on LinkedIn. I was like, I really like what she's doing. I kind of looked at all her different videos, and I happened to find this one video where she was doing Janet Jackson. And she was jamming. When I say the pleasure principle, she had the little knee pad things. She was, and she didn't know I'm like the serious Janet Jackson fan. I was like, oh, I love her. And so I said, no, she's a TV lady, but she could dance. I was like, you gotta have her on the show. She is amazing. So let me read the formal bio because I was like fanning, because she was fanning on Janet, and we both were fanning together. I was like, oh, so she has skills. She has skills beyond TV too. Okay. So she is a native of Richland in North Carolina. She graduated cum laude from Winston-Salem University and began her career in media as a writer and reporter for Voice of America Radio in DC. I remember Voice of America. She returned to North Carolina as a news reporter and anchor for WNCT TV in Greenville. And then in Raleigh, she was an anchor and reporter for WRAL TV. I think that's a NBC affiliate.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's NBC now. Yeah. It used to be.
Yep. And then when WNCN launched a lifestyle show called My Carolina Today, which is the one I talked about that I first saw you on, the creators called on Valonda to host there. There she interviewed and danced with the Rockettes, which is probably easy for you, in Cirque du Soleil, and interviewed many stars, including Marlon Wayans, Jane Seymour, and Anthony Anderson. She was also a dancer and cheerleader since her early years. She also cheered in college and in the NFL for the Washington football team. So whether she is serving on the PTA, mentoring girls, or giving her time to a local food pantry, Valonda embraces the verse, to whom much is given and much is required. So that philosophy led Valonda to Delta Sigma Theta sorority. So happy Founders Day to you.
Thank you.
A lot of my best friends happen to be Delta. So I just love that. Was another thing. I told my best friend, Dr. Portia Lockett, I said, I have one of your sorors I'm interviewing today. Today is Founders Day. She joined in 1993, and then 2013, she was named a 40 under 40 winner, and 2015 was inducted into the university's CE Gaines Hall of Fame. Congratulations. That's a big deal. So she's a spokesperson right now for University Ford and University Kia in Durham, North Carolina, and a freelance TV host for Fox 50. You might catch her on TV and on the web, acting commercials and corporate videos. She's very skilled. And she is also a media trainer. So if those of you who need a media trainer and content strategist for a marketing firm, Walk West, and a dance teacher, still a dance teacher also as well. So that's something that she's not going to give up. And then she released her book during the pandemic, a book on tips from the TV lady, which is what we're going to talk about today, a guide to making a great impression on camera and in person. So she's married and is also a mom. So welcome, Valonda. Thank you for coming on. I am so excited. So tell us about your setup, because the lighting looks beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. And, you know, we've been Zooming all of 2020, right?
Yes.
We've seen some crunchy junk backgrounds.
Pam, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to meet you. We've got to have a phone call or a Zoom call after this, so we can get to know each other a little better. But I'm very happy to be here. And you asked me about my setup. So my book, as you mentioned, is called Tips from the TV Lady, a guide for making a great impression on camera and in person.
I love
and
it.
One of my chapters is all about lighting. That's a free tip that I'm giving you right now. Lighting. I have 2 lights. They're both about a foot above my head, and they're both shining down on me.
Are they ring lights? Are they shadow lights?
No, they're not ring lights, because the thing I love ring lights, but if you wear glasses as I do,
yes,
you get that reflection bouncing off your glasses.
Yes,
and the ring light.
Listen, that was the last interview that I kept talking to Karen Taylor Bass. I said, I can see the little ring in your lights. She was like, I don't know what to do. So she's gonna tell us what to do. Okay.
Right. And the ring light is designed to be directly in front of you. That's fantastic. It's giving a direct light to your face. But what I have are lights that are on stands. These are stands that can put it, low, or can put the light up high. I can adjust it. And they're shining down. So I'm getting that reflection from the light being directly in front of me. Now, I could wear my glasses and not worry about the reflection, I think. Tell me if you see anything bouncing off the light. Do you see anything?
No.
And that's because the lights are up higher and they're shining down versus being directly in front of me and shining directly in front of my face. So that's one of the reasons why I like these lights better than ring lights. I also have a ring light, and it's fantastic. But these lights are a step above.
Yes.
And I can adjust the light. I've got them on about 50% right now because I'm using an HD webcam. I'm not using my computer's web camera. That's another tip that I'm giving you.
Okay.
Your web camera on your computer may not be enough. You may need to invest. Yes, Pam, you know the deal.
Yes.
You may need to invest in another better web camera than the one that comes on your computer. This is an HD camera that I'm using, so it's really good. I could have done this without light, but I think the light makes it even better.
Yes. So I'm going to really talk about, before we go into background, I'm going to talk about dress. So if we're going on television, these right here I probably would not wear, right?
No.
They're fluffy and they're very distracting because it's like, does she have on a boa? What is she trying to do? What is it? Is she Indian? Is this part of some ritual? Like, what is it? So typically what I would do then is I would just put on like these type of earrings. That's very subtle, but it's still part of my style.
Yeah.
Put that on, and then maybe a necklace. That way it's not so distracting, because you want to be stylish, but you don't want to be so stylish where everything is blinging or flying or feathers are flying in people's face. So now I just have this on, and that's a lot more presentable for television versus my fun feather earrings over here.
Absolutely. Pam, man, you get it. That's exactly it. The whole book is about removing distractions.
Yes.
I don't want people to be confused and think that I'm telling them they need to get plastic surgery, or they need to buy a bunch of makeup, or they need to, do all these drastic things. No, it's not that at all. It's about removing distractions and understanding what distractions are. Because unless you've been told, you may not realize that long feather earrings are a distraction. For me, I like to wear hoops. So I wear only hoops. I don't wear a necklace. I have on one bracelet. I keep it simple. If I had on more than one bracelet, they would clank together, because as you see, I talk with my hands. So I know that if I'm wearing more than one, you're going to hear clank, clank, clank. Those things are distractions. So I talk about why you need to remove the distractions so that your message can come through.
So talk about ladies that have the tops that have like herringbone or prints, or why, sometimes when we go shopping, it's like, oh, I'm gonna buy this top and I'm gonna go on such and such show, or it's gonna really look good. Talk about why they may want to put a blanket over you when you go into the studio.
Don't do it. Solids. You see, Pam and I were wearing solids. Solids are the way to go, because you don't have that distraction. And there's something that's called a Moire Effect, M-O-I-R-E, with the thing over the E. And that's when patterns are tight. It's often a problem in men's ties. You feel like your eye is jumping. You're like, wait a minute, I didn't have any wine. What's going on? Why are my eyes jumping? And you can see this pattern just moving around right here. That's because the pattern is too tight. It doesn't happen with big block patterns, but when the pattern is too tight, that's something you have to worry about. It can also happen with polka dots if they're really small and tight. So my philosophy is just forget the patterns, wear the patterns some other time, but not when you're going on camera, not when you're in front of a big crowd, because they can be a distraction.
And polka dots, I always remember was when I was in school, they were saying like for TV, never wear polka dots. And it's like, who wears polka dots on TV? But anyway, but that can happen. So we want to make sure. So we've really talked about the jewelry, talk about the clothing. Let's talk about the thing that Black women, we have this thing with the hair. So I remember going to the Black News Channel, and it was, and so the lady had a lot of hair. It was the braids and this and that. And so the TV people, they were running around trying to figure out like where to put the mic, and they didn't want to touch her hair and this and that. And it's like, so what do we do with the hair? We have all different types. We got the blow and go, we got the natural. We got what do you suggest is the most appropriate for television in terms of hair?
I think your hair just needs to look great, and it needs to be manageable. It's not natural versus straight. It's what is going to be the best style that isn't going to be a distraction or isn't going to be a problem.
Okay.
As you mentioned, I do media training. The people in my media training classes, they're everybody. I've trained people all over the world, not here just in the US. They're Black, they're white, they're Asian, they're all types. And I have a lot of women who have a nervous habit of doing this, playing.
Ooh, yes.
They twirl it, flip it. So it's not just about whether it's long or short or curly or straight. It's what are you doing with your body? So I tell those women who have that habit of playing with the hair, fix it or put it up.
Put it up. Exactly.
Fix your habit or put your hair up, because it is a distraction. If you got long braids and you do the same thing, you play with it. No, you need to put it up so that it's not a distraction. Also, if you're wearing a clip-on microphone and the hair is heavy, braids are heavy. I've worn braids. If they hit the microphone, you're going to hear that sound. That's a distraction. So for me, it's all about removing distractions. If you have long hair, fantastic. Maybe wear it behind your shoulders, or wear one side to the front and the other to the back, the side where the microphone is. But manage the distractions is what I'm trying to say. I'm not telling anybody how to wear their hair, but do whatever it takes to remove the distractions.
That is so good. So Valonda, we're talking with Valonda Calloway, and she's telling us about some TV tips or Zoom tips or in-person tips in terms of like if you're on stage. So let's talk a little bit about backgrounds. I love your background. Your background is really, really good. So let's talk about live backgrounds, I guess you would say, or real backgrounds. Talk about maybe Zoom backgrounds. You know how where people will like, oh, I got a green screen and I'm going to act like I'm in the Bahamas. And so about that.
Again, this book is about removing distractions. Make it appropriate. I'm sitting in my kitchen. Behind me, you see my living room. The TV's off. If I had the TV on, that would be a distraction.
That's true.
I thought about putting my logo there, but then again, I thought that might be a distraction. So you see a basic living room behind me. You don't see anything that's unusual. I cleaned up. You don't see my junk. So I made sure that you see a bowl of fruit back there. It's just very simple.
Clean.
There's nothing that is going to make you go, what is that? Does she have a cat running around in the background? Or I cleaned up. Is that dust in the corner? Just make it a distraction-free zone. I love the virtual backgrounds, but make it appropriate for what you're talking about. If you're a CEO doing a Zoom, the Bahamas might not be the best background for you, unless you're talking about taking the whole company on a retreat to the Bahamas when COVID is over. But if you're talking about something serious, you need to think about having a serious setting behind you, an office setting or something that isn't a distraction.
So what about people that have the little pets and things like that on the Zoom calls, right? So they're like, oh, you got the dog here.
Your dog is so cute. When I was reading about you, I saw that you're a dog mama. But yeah, I love that. And I think it's fine if we're not talking about, something super serious.
Coronavirus. Yeah, coronavirus.
We're talking about coronavirus, or we're talking about the impeachment. I think we need a more serious tone, and your fun pet might not be the best thing. But again, think about the environment, think about what you're talking about, make the background fit the mood of the interview that you're doing.
I love that. I love that. And yours is it's a very comfortable mood. I can see the mood of that. The lighting is good. The dress is very non-distracting. And also to hold the book up again. Hold the book up.
Gladly.
So her brand colors are blue. That's part of that as well. So let's talk
about coral.
So talk about how that was chosen in terms of your brand colors and that sort of thing, because your website is blue. You can go to valondacalloway.com and you'll see the blue there as well. And it looks like blue and teal. Is it coral? Okay, blue and coral. So that's kind of like that as well. And so do you find yourself that when you're doing interviews, on television for your personal brand, that you're dressing in those colors?
Absolutely. You have to brand yourself. We know when we see that, Target, that it's about Target. We know when we see those cows, it's about Chick-fil-A. So we do the same thing. We brand ourselves so that people know what they're getting and that they're going to get consistency in the same thing each time. I don't always wear blue. As you mentioned, I represent a Ford dealership, so that was an easy choice. So I have a lot of blue anyway. So that was one of the reasons I went with blue. Not the only reason, but one of them. But I recently picked up a Kia dealership and their colors are red. So when I'm representing Kia, I'm in red. Of course, I already have a lot of red because, as we talked about, I'm a Delta. State. So, I wanted it to make sense. I didn't have to reinvent my entire wardrobe. But I did some research about colors, and blue represented what I wanted to get across: trustworthiness, reliability. So that was part of the reason I chose blue as well. And then the coral, I just love coral. I didn't want to choose pink.
A lot of people use pink. I had pink at one point in time, and I was like, "Ooh, that's a little bit," because really, pink really will. Men, if you work with men, they're not going to gravitate towards pink, right? They're like, I mean, literally, my website a few years ago was like Pepto-Bismol pink. It was so pink. It was nauseous. I was like, ooh, why did I do that? It was just like, at that point, I came out of corporate. And so I was like, I want to just do me. I want pink. So anyway, so yeah, that's one of the things. I had a client that was an AKA who had a lot of red on her website, and a lot of people in her sorority were like, why do you have so much red? She liked red. So now it's a little bit more pink. So
there's nothing wrong with that, but that's just not me. So I was looking for a complementary color. So I did a lot of research on colors that go together with blue, and landed on coral. And I'm so happy that I chose that.
That is good. So the book now, let's tell us a little bit about the success of the book, or some of the stories that people have had from the book. The book is called Tips from the TV Lady, a guide for making a great impression on camera and in person. And it's available on Amazon, barnesandnoble.com. Is it on your website? If people want to get a signed copy, could they get it from your website?
Absolutely. Signed paperback copy on my website, WalondaCalloway.com, and you can get the ebook as well as the paperback at Amazon.com.
Oh, it's an ebook. Okay, so that's perfect.
Yes, so, you got an ear. Yes.
So one of the things I just wanted, in terms of, as we try to give people tips and things like that, like you talked about the backgrounds, and right now we're using StreamYard. So StreamYard allows us to, for those who are listening or watching us live on LinkedIn, allows us to really go different angles on the camera. We can even, the first StreamYard that I did when I interviewed someone was like this. And we were a little bit too close to the camera, and we could not figure out why our faces were so big. And I was like, I don't know. And we were moving the cameras back. She says, oh, my face is too big. And I didn't realize that you can pull it back like that.
Nice.
Yeah. So this one is like an anchor look. And then the little scroll at the bottom is Ready, Set, Go, Speak.com, which is my membership community where I teach people about PR marketing and that sort of thing. So it's like I use StreamYard from that standpoint to really give it more like the TV look, I always do some kind of overlay, but I think I'm going to redo the overlay, because the overlay itself is good, but in a way it shows that the host, if it's not centered, it looks like you're the host if I pull you in like that, and you're not the host. Yeah, so it's just certain things like that this whole thing, Valonda. Listen, I'm in media, so but today everybody has to be a little bit more like TV ready. We have to be TV. We have to know a little bit about editing. We have to know these things now, where we didn't have to know in 2019. It's so different now.
You're so correct. And we have to have CTE hours, continuing education, because even after COVID, a lot of people may not go back to the life they used to have. A lot of companies have decided we're not going back to the office. So this could be the way we communicate. So put in the time and the effort to learn how to look your best. We all have to learn different things. My husband owns a DJ company. He primarily DJs weddings. Well, before COVID, that's what he primarily did. Of course, weddings aren't happening the way that they used to. So guess what? He's learned how to be basically a TV producer to DJ on online platforms like Twitch and Mixcloud. Yes. If you go to Twitch and Mixcloud, you'll see DJs all over the world who look like they're in professional TV studios, because they've learned about lighting and cameras and multiple cameras, a camera on the turntable, a camera on his hands as he's scratching, a camera that's in front.
Wow.
The house looks like a TV studio between what he's doing and what I'm doing. But he's had to spend countless hours learning all of this. And so that's part of the reason why I wrote the book, so that I could help people who are trying to learn these things in a quick and easy way. It's 10 chapters, and I break it down in layman's terms. I use myself as an example, because I've made plenty of mistakes along the way in my career. And I use myself as an example so you can understand that if you don't know, you don't know. I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just telling you that if somebody doesn't take the time to help you understand these things, you're not going to just learn them through osmosis.
Yeah. And that is true, because I did a like a speaker event where I had to judge different speakers. It was almost like a speaker on. And so the speakers, they came on and they had to speak for 10 minutes. And so they were talking. And of course, their speeches were great, on point. But because it was virtual, what I also looked at was not necessarily listening to them, but I was looking at their background. So if I had to do like 10 points, so I'm taking off like 3 points because their background was janky. And like the books were just out of order in the background, or they had just things that were distracting, or they had a big picture of themselves in the background, but you couldn't really tell it was a picture of them because their head was covering their picture of themselves in the background. But I'm like, why do I need a picture of you in the background of you? Because I already see you. So it was like, it's so many different things about backgrounds that I can explain to people. Now, what I did, basic Joanne Fabrics, black velvet background. It's really simple to do. And then I have shadow box lights in front of me.
Very nice. You look amazing.
Thank you. The thing about the shadow box lights is that they don't dim up and down. So it's one strength. You can't take it up. You can't. It's just one thing. It's just one light. So they're good for photography, but not necessarily good for video. So anyway,
and it's good to have dimmable lights, because depending on your complexion, you need different things.
Yes.
You know, if you're a dark-skinned person, you're going to need different light than a white person.
Yes.
You can't give both people the same light.
No.
You need to be able to adjust it. So adjustable lights are great, especially if you're doing a video with someone.
Yes. And
my husband and I aren't the same complexion. We made a video recently, but fortunately we had two lights. So the light on him was different than the light that was on me, because we're not the same complexion. And so that's what you have to think about.
Yeah. And microphones are very important. I have a different type of mic that has a wind popper.
Yep, this is mine.
Yeah, that's this one here. So it's the wind popper, that sort of thing. So sometimes you can have those as well. That's when I'm really like maybe doing when my husband does voiceover work. So he does voiceover work. So he has to use that. Yes. I'm just using the microphone from my Macintosh. So from the Mac. That sounds old, real Macintosh. Who calls it a Macintosh? That just dated me right there. Macintosh.
The Apple?
Yeah, that was that. But I'm using that. So knowing the average person, Valonda, the average person, now they got to know lighting, they got to know mics, they got to know which camera to buy, they have to know how to edit, they've got to know how to stream, what to say when. And for someone who just really in 2020 just really got into this whole space, it can be overwhelming. And that's why I wanted to have you on the show, because I want people to get your book, because you put it in layman's terms. The book is called Tips from the TV Lady, a Guide to Making a Great Impression on Camera or on Zoom, and in person, because a lot of people don't know how to pull it all together to look good. And they always say, TV adds 10 pounds. So we know that. So we've been a lot of people been in quarantine. So there's a quarantine 15. So it's like, oh my God. So what tips can you give people to look thinner if TV adds 10 pounds besides wearing black?
Right. If that is your thing, because I don't want to assume that everybody's interested in looking thinner, body positivity. A lot of people are saying, I am rocking it the way that I am. And I say, you go girl, you go boy, if that is your thing. But if you are interested in looking thinner, open up your neck. You notice I'm wearing a V-neck. The worst thing you could do is wear a turtleneck or anything that has a high neck.
I did not know that.
Show the skin. That will help to elongate your neck.
Okay, I did not know that, because it was always thought if you have a little bit of a double chin or just a little bit too much, meat here, that you would wear a turtleneck. But you're saying that is the worst thing, because it would just draw attention to it.
It's a double chin covered up by a turtleneck.
Oh,
it's still there.
That is it. These are all the tips in the book. That one is a good one. I did not. I would have said, "Oh, wear a turtleneck. That'll just cover that all up," and it'd be like, now she looked like no. So that's one of the things. No, you want to do that. So tell us a little bit about your dance, because that is something that you do that is must be a joy, because there was a picture on the website where you were at the beach. I guess you were on a beach, and you were in the air doing a split. How did that? How many shots? First of all, how did you do that? And then how many shots did you have to take in order to get that particular shot? It was like, it had to be one of those high-speed cameras.
So that was called a grand jeté, and I did that on Virginia Beach. And it's something that my daughter and I started doing that a few years ago. So each time we go to Virginia Beach, we, do our grand jeté. But I've been dancing since I was a little girl. And I teach jazz at North Carolina Dance Institute. And I've been dancing, like I said, since I was a little girl. So actually, my daughter took that picture, I think.
Wow, that was amazing.
She knows when to snap, because I'm going to go chasse, step, jeté, and she knows. So she knows when to click. But I also had her do video, and then I took a screenshot of the video so I could get exactly the frame that I wanted.
That was perfect. That my sister-in-law owns a dance studio. She's been dancing since she was little, and she grew up and had a career, and then she kind of quasi-retired and then opened up a dance school. And then her daughters were teenagers at the time. And then when they graduated from college, now the whole family is about 20 years old now. They have a dance studio. Nice. And so the Zone Dance Center. And she turned 60 this year, but you would not know it. She looks fabulous. She still dances. She still teaches, still dances. Corona, the COVID-19, they had to do things virtual, had to do a little pivot. But they didn't do the recitals in person anymore. But 2021, hopefully they'll do that. But I think when you have multi-passions, like you love television and you love voice work and acting and dancing, at one point you were doing cheerleading, that really makes you a well-rounded person and very approachable, which is, why I just was so excited to talk with you today.
Thank you. I've been very fortunate that I've been able to do what I want to do in life. I wanted to be a professional dancer. That didn't work out exactly as I had hoped it would. I wanted to go to New York and dance. And my dad was like, you're going to college. You're going to get an education, a traditional education.
And then happened to graduate cum laude at the time, same time. So he just kind of,
yeah, television was my passion also, but dance was always the first love. So I was able to incorporate dance into my whole life. So while I was working my very first job, I was moonlighting as a Washington Redskins cheerleader.
Wow.
So I would work and go to practice and then dance on Sundays at the games. Well, now they're the Washington football team. But when I was a part of it, it was the Washington Redskins. And so I was able to have a semi-pro dance career. But teaching dance has been such a joy. And I teach mostly teens and adults. I don't deal with little kids. But it's so much fun to help teens and adults realize their dreams, their passions, because I totally understand where they're coming from, wanting to get into it at that stage of life.
That is so good. That is good. So Valonda Calloway, just like it sounds. I mean, I could probably spell it, but we'll have the show notes in the show notes. So make sure that you go to PamPerryPodcast.com and read the show notes. But ValondaCalloway.com to get the book and also to learn out more about her for media training as well, because she does that. Media training is a skill that people don't realize that they need until after they do a bad interview. so I always say, if you really do want to get out there and get known, get media training first, and you do that interview, you'll be called back. That's really really key.
And it's so important because you never know when you're going to need it. The company that that you mentioned when you read my bio that I work with, Walk West, we train people from all kinds of big companies. And we prepare them to be ready when a crisis happens.
That's another podcast right there.
Yeah, you never know when Susie's ex-husband is going to come in and, shoot the place up, or you never know when there's going to be a fire, or you never know when there's going to be a chemical spill. You never know when these things are going to happen. So media training is so important, because when a crisis situation or a great opportunity, it doesn't have to be a crisis, when something wonderful happens, your nerves are probably way up here, your anxiety, all your emotions are on overdrive. And so you want to know how to do this before you get that call, so that your nerves and your anxiety and all these other things don't ruin what could be a great opportunity, or an opportunity to talk to people and help them understand what's going on.
And because body language is a big part of it.
Yes.
So if it's almost like you can tell a person is not telling the truth by certain things that they do, or you can also tell, basically people want to believe you. So you do need the media training so that you're not making the audience who's watching you like they're not telling the truth. The Richard Nixon is a good example that kind of makes me think about that. When he said at the very, I am not a crook. And then what his body language was like, but it felt like you were a crook, so part of that media training is to help you just relax, so that you're not perceived that you're not telling the truth when you actually are, but you just are not comfortable in front of a camera. And a lot of people do need help with feeling comfortable in front of the camera. With you wanting to be a professional dancer, so it felt natural for you. That's a part that was an extension for you to express yourself in front of people. Where some people are like, deer in the headlights. No, I don't want to talk. So it's really important to do media training with you. And I would just invite people to make sure that they pick up the book at the very least, and to make sure that they do look into you for media training, because it's important. You don't want to wait till a crisis hits before you get media training. Trust me, I know.
You're so right.
Yes. So, thank you so much for joining us. Get Out There and Get Known podcast. I want people to subscribe, share this podcast. People who are on LinkedIn Live, thank you for joining us over there as well. Angela Turner said that she is good. She is taking notes over there. So very good. She is doing that. She is a person that's over there taking notes. Very smart person. So that's good. And thank you for just sharing your knowledge. And we're going to be in touch, because I want to bring you back and maybe talk about crisis management, because that really is something that people don't really even understand what that's all about and what's entailed. And the country is in crisis, so a lot of people are in crisis, so that might be something that we can talk about as well. Thank you. Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we kind of get out of here?
Well, I just want to say thank you. It was a pleasure to talk with you, and thank you for sharing your platform. And once again, the book is called Tips from the TV Lady.
I love it.
Without the, there we go, no shine.
Yeah. I love it.
And it's available on Amazon in the ebook format as well as the paperback format. And I can give you a signed copy if you order from my website. Oh, there is one thing I forgot to mention. I talk about removing distractions. And if you're not a makeup person, at least do something to cut down the shine. I have my own line of blotting.
Yes.
You know, the blotting sheet, you take one out, you press it against your face to soak up the shine.
Yes.
If you're not going to wear makeup, at least use a blotting sheet.
And
women.
Men, I was going to say men, because my husband is shaven head. And so the shine, I'm always fighting with the shine with pictures or video. And it's like, let's get this shine off. How do you get this shine off of your face and off of your head? So those are perfect for that.
These are on my website, ValondaCalloway.com.
I love that. That is so perfect. Yes, that is one of the things that I'm going to need. I will say, in terms of the minimum makeup that I do suggest, and this is just me, not everyone has to do that. Eyelashes make a big difference, and lips, because people look at your eyes and they look at your mouth. So lips and lashes are the main two things. You don't even have to wear anything else, but they look at your mouth and they look at your lashes. So I have on the strip eyelashes and I have on lipstick. That's it. And not that's it. I have some other stuff, but making sure that those are the main things if you're going to do anything, to focus on lips and lashes, because that people look at your eyes and they always look at you know. And if you want to get your teeth whitened too, that might be something else you want to do, you know, during this period of time where we're kind of like quarantine, you know, get your teeth whitened. When you go on Zoom, they look really white, you know. So I heard someone say the other day, says this is a great time to get braces because everybody's wearing a mask. I said, yeah, I guess so.
That is a good point.
You know, so it's true. It's been about
I had braces when I was younger, didn't wear the retainer, so they moved. So I should have done that.
Yeah, because we're coming up on a year basically since kids, so everybody's really wearing the mask almost a year now. So just think, if you were wearing braces, no one would have known because you're wearing a mask all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, and I will talk to you later. Alrighty. God bless. I'm Pam Perry, and
thank you.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast, brought to you by PamPerryPR.com, where you'll get insider tips on how to build your platform, pitch the media, and promote yourself with confidence. Head over to PamPerryPR.com and get the exclusive video training on the 7 must-have marketing materials you need before you pitch in order to be considered in media places or superstar stages. PamPerryPR.com, where you help you shine like a superstar.